Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. The Canadian press provides a roundup of today's key stories. Statistics Canada is set to release real gross domestic product figures for February and early estimates for the first quarter, amidst economic uncertainty stemming from the Middle East conflict and a trade agreement review. In transportation news, the CEO of Alto, the country's high-speed rail project, revealed plans for potentially 2 stations in the Greater Toronto Area for the Toronto-Quebec City network, a proposal facing public and political opposition over community impact and cost. Furthermore, a McGill University report highlights calls from young Canadians aged 17 to 23 for government intervention to combat addictive AI chatbot designs, advocating for mandatory opt-out options on platforms and a new regulatory body for AI systems. Finally, Anglican priest Maggie Helwig has been awarded the $40,000 Shaughnessy Cohen Prize for political writing for her book Encampment, which delves into Toronto's homelessness crisis. City News Everywhere reports that Statistics Canada is poised to release the real gross domestic product figures for February this morning. In addition to the February data, the agency will provide its early estimates for the month of March and for the first quarter of the year as a whole. Last month, StatCan had issued a preliminary estimate indicating a 0.2% growth for February. This follows a modest 0.1% increase in GDP observed in January, largely driven by strength in goods-producing industries. Many Bay Street economists have noted that the domestic economy appears to be starting the year more robustly than anticipated, especially after experiencing a mild contraction in the fourth quarter of the previous year. The Canadian economy continues to face several sources of uncertainty, including the impact of the Middle East conflict on oil prices and the cost of everyday goods, as well as the upcoming review of the Canada-US-Mexico trade agreement in July. This report from City News Everywhere is based on information first published by the Canadian Press on April 30, 2026. A new report from McGill University's Center for Media, Technology and Democracy highlights a growing concern among young Canadians regarding the addictive nature of AI chatbots. Based on roundtables with individuals aged 17 to 23 across the country, the report recommends that the government compel AI companies to implement measures to curb these addictive elements. Specifically, it calls for mandating features such as content filters, optional data cache deletion, and user-controlled levels of responsiveness and conversationality. Participants expressed that the sycophancy inherent in many chatbot systems is intentionally designed to foster dependency and maximize user engagement. They noted that chatbots often reinforce users' existing beliefs and emotional states, creating a deceptive sense of being understood. Many reported personal experiences of cognitive offloading or emotional reliance that were difficult to reverse, attributing these issues to deliberate design choices aimed at profit, made without user consent. The report also proposes that social media platforms and search engines should be required to offer straightforward options for opting out of integrated AI technologies. Furthermore, it advocates for the establishment of a new government body to evaluate AI systems, audit algorithms, and enforce safety standards. These recommendations come as the federal government works on new legislation addressing online privacy, online harms, including potential age restrictions for social media and AI chatbots, and a national AI strategy. Young people involved in the consultations emphasize their exclusion from digital governance processes, especially concerning policies related to age assurance. The report also calls for a standardized, anonymized digital token system for age verification on generative AI platforms, citing privacy concerns. This news comes from the Canadian Press. CTV News reports that the Greater Toronto Area could see the addition of a second high-speed rail station. According to Martin and Blow, CEO of Alto, the country's high-speed rail project. While no final decision has been made, Emblo suggested a secondary station would likely be located in a nearby suburb. This strategic placement aims to attract more passengers from the surrounding region and provide essential access to the rail line while the more costly final leg of construction into downtown Toronto is completed. The federal government has currently mandated 7 stops for the proposed network: Toronto, Peterborough, Ottawa, Laval, Quay, Montreal, Trois-Rivières, Quay, and Quebec City. The ambitious project envisions 72 daily electric trains operating on dedicated tracks, capable of reaching speeds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour and significantly reducing current travel times. However, the initiative has drawn criticism from a grassroots coalition of farmers and small-town residents, as well as federal conservatives, who argue that the rail corridor would divide communities, offer minimal local benefits, and impose billions of dollars in costs on taxpayers. A new report from Amnesty International warns of a deepening housing crisis affecting Indigenous peoples across Canada. The report highlights severe overcrowding and unsafe living conditions in the Atacama community of Manawan, Quebec, as emblematic of a broader national issue that jeopardizes the health, safety, and fundamental rights of Indigenous individuals. Community leaders in Manawan report families are frequently seeking emergency housing due to deteriorating conditions and long delays in building new homes. Amnesty International notes that this crisis infringes upon multiple rights, including the right to housing, education, health, privacy, safety, and life. The issues are not isolated to Manawan, with similar conditions reported in other Indigenous communities. The Assembly of First Nations Quebec Labrador estimates $139 billion of $90 is needed to address housing needs nationwide. The organization expresses frustration with the lack of concrete government commitments and ongoing jurisdictional disputes. This report, as covered by City News Everywhere, underscores the urgent need for immediate and significant government action to ensure Indigenous peoples can live with dignity. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.